Orgone Nik and welcome to my channel. Today we're going to be making a pyramid called Summer's Day. It first got its inspiration, or I got my inspiration from making this necklace. It's yellow, blue, and green, and I just loved those colors together. I thought it looked so pretty. I decided, let's make a pyramid out of this. And so this was what I made. And then I put a prism, sacred geometry, seed of life sticker on the front of it to just complete it. And I love this pyramid so much. It's got the yellow, green, and blue, as well as brass and some beach sand, which is also quartz crystal, and some gold flecks at the top with a blue Lemurian seed crystal. So if you're interested in seeing how this was made, or you'd like to make one yourself, let's get started making this right now. Okay, so to get started, let me show you what we'll need to make this pyramid. First, we'll need a pyramid mold. It has a silicone insert and a hard plastic housing, and it's perfect for any size pyramid, small or large. And I'm going to be using a blue Lemurian seed crystal, which I have wrapped in 18 gauge copper wire. And the gemstones are turquoise howlite, peridot, and citrine. And I will be using brass shavings for my metal. And I will be using some gold leaf flakes. And we'll see, I'm gonna have to rip these up a little bit smaller than they already are. I wish they came really small, but they're not. So I'm gonna work with these. It says they're copper flakes, but they're colored gold. So that's great. I didn't realize they were copper. Good to know. Anyway, I am using polyester casting resin, which I keep in a jar because it comes in a gallon jug and I can't pour small amounts from it. So I just keep it in a jar, and I will be using a 1 ounce measuring cup to do my measuring, and a mixing cup to do my mixing, and a mixing stick. So let's get started. I'm going to pour about 3/4 of an ounce. And I am not sure how many drops of hardener it suggests to use with each ounce. All I remember is that when I used it, I needed more. And so I use 9 drops of hardener to start, and then 9 drops for every ounce thereafter. So for 1 ounce, it would be 18 drops. And since I'm doing 3/4 of an ounce, I'm gonna do 15 drops. So I'm just gonna pour this into my mixing cup. You can totally use epoxy resin for this project. It's just going to take you a little bit longer is all. And you're gonna have to work harder to get the bubbles out. So let's add our 15 drops. With the epoxy resin, you're gonna wanna stir it for at least 2 minutes. And with the polyester casting resin, you need to stir it until it becomes clear, which doesn't take as long. So I put my Lemurian seed crystal in there, and I'm pouring the rest of my resin around it. And we're just gonna let this congeal, and I will be back to do our second layer, which is gonna be the gold flakes. All right, so I will see you then. Okay, so my top layer has congealed. I grabbed the wrong end. I'm gonna test it. Yep, it has congealed. So I should tell you that I went ahead and tore my little gold leaves my gold leafing into smaller pieces so it will have the effect that I'm going for. And I'm going to pour about an ounce of resin for this layer. Pour that in my mixing cup. Now that that's all mixed up, I'm going to pour it in my cup with the gold leaf flakes. Perfect, it looks good. It looks like how I wanted it to look. I've never made this pyramid before. This is something I just kind of dreamed up, and I'm just gonna see how it looks. I'm thinking of adding just a little bit more resin because there's so much gold flakes. I want to go ahead and sparse it out a little bit. Perfect. So I'm just going to let that congeal, and I'll be back in about 45 minutes to start our layer of stones. Okay, so it's time to start adding the stones. I'm going to start by pouring 3 ounces of resin. I just want to say that the gold fleck portion turned out exactly like I wanted it to. I broke the pieces down into really tiny pieces, and they're all just kind of floating in that space, and it looks really good, and I think that it's going to make the pyramid extra special. I may have poured more than I need, but this is what came to my mind when I thought of what I'm gonna do, so we'll just see how this pans out. So I'm gonna start with my dyed citrine. I'm gonna pour a little bit of resin in first. Now I'm going to add some peridot, a layer of peridot over the citrine. Add some more resin. And the peridot is tiny little stones, so I'm going to be careful and push all of the tiny little stones that's stuck to the side of the mold. I want to keep the green together as best as possible. Okay, now I'm going to add my turquoise howlite. Some more resin. And it looks like 3 ounces was the perfect amount. I just poured it all out right as I needed it. Perfect. So we're just going to let this congeal, and then we're going to come back and do the brass shavings. Okay, it's time to add our brass. I am going to pour 3 ounces of resin to get this started. Okay, we're going to let that congeal, and I am going to be back to add a layer of beach sand. I didn't mention that in the beginning, but I've decided I want to add that, and I think it's going to make the piece well-rounded. Florida beach sand is tiny quartz crystals, and it's just going to go with the piece perfectly. So I'll be back to do some sand with you guys. All right, time to do our final layer. So everything has congealed, and I am out of resin. I will be right back. Okay, I got the resin. So now it's time to pour 4 ounces. One thing about putting anything in resin is that it's going to look wet. So the beach sand looks great in the Orgonite, but it does have a wet look. So it looks like beach sand that the tide has rushed over. But I think it grounds the piece out nicely. It's got quartz crystals, and this is a summertime piece, and beach sand is gonna go perfectly. So I think I've got that mixed nicely, and I'm ready to let this harden, and the next time you'll see me is when we demold this piece. So I'm gonna give it probably a good 6 hours to finish doing its thing, and yeah, I'll be back to demold this, and we'll see what it looks like together. Okay, are you ready? I am going to demold this piece. I'm so excited. I hope it turned out nicely. We're about to see. I like it. I really like it. And now that I have this demolded, I have to show you something. I made this piece an Orgonite heart, and it's got yellow, blue, and green in it, and I just thought those colors looked so good together that I should make a pyramid out of those colors, and that's what this is. And it's got the nice gold flecks in that layer with the copper coil surrounded crystal in the middle, And then we have our citrine, our peridot, and our turquoise howlite, our brass, and our beach sand. And I think it's beautiful. And so what all needs to be done now are the edges are kind of rough and rugged, and they need to be sanded. And what I use, and I don't have one here, just a second. What I use to do my sanding are emery boards. I get them 10 or 20 to a pack, and it gives me so much greater control than sandpaper. I just sand them, and I'll do this all the way around and get the edges to be smooth. And when that's done, I'm going to add the feet, which are the cabinet dampening bumpers that are a 1/2 inch rubber bumpers that I stick on the bottom in place of feet, and that will help it be sturdy, and it will allow energy to flow under the pyramid so it can come up through it, and it's going to be a perfect piece. So I'm going to get this sanding done and put the feet on it, and then we'll be back to sum it up. So I'll see you shortly. Okay, so now I have all the edges sanded and I have the feet put on, and now I would like to add something I didn't mention at the beginning of the video because I had forgotten, but I get these great stickers from a guy named Dean Bonzani of Synchronicity at Etsy, and he has these amazing hologram sacred geometry stickers that are just amazing. And I think I'm going to add this Seed of Life sticker, and I've not put one on like this, so this will be my first time. And yeah, I'm just gonna stick it on here, and we'll see how it goes. Okay, that came off easy enough. I'm just removing the outer film, which is leaving just the design, the hologram design. Wow, that just looks so beautiful. I'll leave a link in the description box for Synchronicity's Etsy shop. See how lovely that looks? My beautiful Seed of Life hologram sticker. And if there is a sacred geometry sticker that you are interested in and you don't see it on his site, message him, because he can make custom stickers. At least he did for me, and I sure appreciated it. And anyway, definitely check out this guy's Etsy store because he's got some amazing stickers. I think that looks beautiful, and it just catches the light and throws it with the prism. Yeah, I'm really happy with this piece. So if you enjoyed today's video, please give me a thumbs up. It makes me super happy when you do that. Also, subscribe to my channel if you're interested in Orgonite projects and finding out when they come out. Don't forget to hit that notification bell if you'd like to be made aware of each time a new project comes out. I'm Orgone Nik, and thank you for joining me in my Orgonite studio. Have yourself an amazing rest of your day.